Hey everybody, Meteorologist Chris Bianchi checking in here with a quick update about that snow possible for the mountains for next week. I think the middle to end part of next week could be fairly busy, but you're probably going to see some, let's just say, fantasy snow maps out there on social media as we head over the next couple of days. So let's kind of break things down for you, what we could be looking at for the middle to end part of next week, and also kind of addressing all those rumors that might be floating around out there at this point. So here's what we know. There's a pretty good chance the mountains are going to get a decent snowstorm for the middle to end part of next week. It makes sense. I'll explain meteorologically what we're looking at here in just a second. I think here in Denver what we're looking at is the potential for our first freeze. And what we're talking about would be next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which would be October the 12th, 13th, 14th. So somewhere in that range, we're talking about the potential for our first freeze. So that might mean, if you're a homeowner, this might be a good weekend, good next couple of days to blow out your sprinklers. We are talking about the potential for our first freeze and maybe even a bit of slush for next week. I'm a little skeptical about the slush chances in Denver, but we'll break that down for you in the next couple of minutes. All right, so here's meteorologically what we're talking about as we get into next week. Notice that those kind of cooler colors, those greens, those blues out across the Intermountain West. This is going to be for the middle to end part of next week. Now, exactly where this area low pressure, where this big cool down moves its way on through will determine exactly what we get here across Colorado. Whether that area low pressure is 100 miles east, north, west, south, and that'll make all the difference in terms of who gets what and how much of what in terms of next week. So it's probably the same old story you've heard before, right? We're going to have to be a little bit patient. And the era of social media and immediate answers, patience may not be as much of a virtue as it once was, but we are certainly going to have to wait a few days to figure out what exactly we could be talking about in terms of that possibility for some significant accumulating snow into the mountains, where exactly we're talking about. Again, we just don't have enough answers, but I did mention this at the start. It makes sense. And even here in Denver, if we were to see the potential for a bit of slush, it makes sense. Normally in the mountains, our first big, and I mean 3-4 inches plus snow event in the mountains is in the first week of October, the last week of September. So somewhere around now is when we're typically expecting that first, again, not just a dusting above 11,000 feet. We're talking about a first heftier snow event of the season. Tends to happen end of September, early October. And in Denver, for the last 5 years, we've seen measurable snowfall on or before October the 10th. So if we were to see snow next week, it totally makes sense. Yes, last year was an anomaly. It was an exception. It was a really weird year. We didn't see measurable snow in Denver until December the 10th, absolutely shattering the old record of November the 23rd. So last year, I know maybe weighing heavy a little bit in our minds, but trust me, getting snow the first or second week of October, very, very normal for us here in Denver. So that's why, again, it makes sense that there's the possibility we could see some accumulating snow here in Denver. Would not shock me in the slightest, although if we were to see anything at this point, it looks pretty minimal, maybe a little bit of slush. I'm going to walk you through the computer forecast models, and the main thing to take away from them is they really don't have much of an idea. Now, this is for next, again, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So what you're seeing top right-hand side of your screen, keep in mind that is for Saturday, October the 16th. So this is, again, ways out there. This is for the end part of next week. I should say that is for October the 15th. So for the end of next week, beginning of next weekend. So again, this is next week, not this week, next week. And the Euro showing here, this is, again, one computer forecast model showing a fairly healthy snow throughout much of the mountains, right? We're talking fairly widespread, 3-4 inches plus for the mountains, even down, maybe even into the foothills, above 7,000 feet, west of Denver, parts of Jeffco, Dougco could even get on some of this Palmer Divide, again, 7,000 feet or above, may get on this. That's one computer forecast model, right? Here's another one. Here's the GFS. Not much. Not exactly all that impressive. And I don't think either of these computer forecast models are even close to remotely what we're going to end up seeing. What I want to show you is the models are basically throwing up their hands and saying, I don't really know. I have no idea what's going on right now. That's what they're saying right now at this point. So what we're going by is more of the meteorology and the climatology. Meteorologically, got a big low, probably dropping in somewhere near a region. It's the time of year we tend to expect our first healthier snow of the season in the mountains, so that makes sense. And also for Denver, our average first freeze is normally on October the 7th. So for us to be talking about temperatures getting down to around the low 30s, totally makes sense for next week. Now, our official 7-day forecast, we drop down into the mid 40s for next Wednesday. It would be probably Thursday or Friday morning where we'd be talking about the potential for a freeze. So again, those overall takeaways for the next few days in Denver, what I'd be worried about, blowing out your sprinklers now. Yes, we might see a little slush, maybe next Thursday, Friday. I'm a little skeptical of it at this point. The mountains, we could be talking about maybe a few inches of snow, 3 inches plus, 7,000 feet or above. Main time frame would probably be next Thursday, Wednesday night, Thursday, and perhaps lingering into Friday and Saturday, depending on exactly what this area of low pressure does. So probably at this point, more questions than answers, but that tends to be the case with these early season systems. So again, more questions than answers. We'll break it down for you as we get closer. We'll have another kind of full update on the system coming up on Friday, and of course next week as well here on 9 News Plus, on YouTube, on all the social media as well. So again, stay with us. We'll keep you posted on it. But right now, no reason. Just don't pay attention to any fantasy snow maps out there they might see on social media. Right now, it looks like the mountains could be in store for a few inches of snow. Along the Front Range, maybe a little bit of slush.